Hey guys, and welcome to the Lunge and Lift podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ash.
For those that are watching on YouTube, you can obviously see who we are. For those that are listening, I guess you got a picture of what we look like. This is our first episode, so please bear with us in case it all goes to pot. Our first episode I thought would be a really good way to give you guys an understanding of who we are and our mission for the podcast, what you guys will hopefully gain from listening to the podcast, and kind of just our general chit chat. So I thought best to ask questions, and I'm going to start with Ash and saying, who are you?
Good question. I'm trying to figure that out myself. So my name's Ash, Ashley Grossman, the full name or surname and first name. Christopher's my middle name, if you're wondering. And I am a coach primarily. I guess in terms of who am I, how did I get to where I am now? So I guess as relates to fitness, I always grew up. I grew up as a very sporty child, so my school, I was very fortunate to be exposed to a lot of different sports, rugby, football, hockey, tennis, squash, bit of cricket, didn't last very long, but I always had a strong passion for sport and exercise, and as a teenager, rugby was my main sport, and obviously a big part of that is strength and conditioning to get bigger, faster, stronger, to perform on the pitch.
That's definitely something I wish I got into, was a bit of rugby when I started rugby way too late. It just didn't really work.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that's it. Like we were saying earlier, the sooner you get into something, the more years you just accumulate, and everything sort of builds from there. So lifting in the gym at school. I think, as with most people, the sort of knowledge that's out there and widely available is very much bodybuilding type stuff, and not necessarily that functional, a term that we're going to go into in a later podcast in a bit more detail. I actually had a neck and shoulder injury playing rugby, and it meant that I was in and out of traditional healthcare, trying to rehab that, seeing lots of different types of specialists.
How did you get the injury?
It was at the bottom of a collapsed mall. Basically, I was on the floor, and about 8 guys just fell on my neck, just whipped my head to the side, and it's kind of like stiffened up. It was like a sprained muscle, and it wasn't super bad, but it was just chronic and recurring. So any time I'd make a lot of tackles in a match or press weight overhead, I would get quite sharp pain, and it would just lock up. So quite often after matches, I just wouldn't be able to look right for like 2 or 3 days afterwards.
So I guess that's a real nice segue into kind of how you kind of got into fitness there, especially with an injury like that. Yeah. That's quite serious. How did that continue?
So basically, for about 10 years after that, I was in and out of playing. So I'd play a few games, then I'd go and get some physio, ease it off a bit, and then it would just come back, and that cycle repeated for 10 years. It's never been
nice rugby players, isn't it?
Yeah,
see the physio, strap it up, get in, get it messed up, and go through that cycle over and over.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I just kept going through that process. Eventually, just started to get really frustrated because I would do all my rehab exercises. I'd be very diligent with what I was supposed to do my stretches, and it just wasn't getting any better. So I carried on playing rugby through school, through uni, and played for an amateur club in London when I started working, and this cycle was just continuing to go on and on and on. So I decided that I was just going to look into it for myself and see what was out there in terms of how to train smarter for sport as opposed to aesthetics and bodybuilding. That's sort of what led me to discover CrossFit and the concept of training for mobility and, relaxing muscles and stretching and all the sort of stuff that you typically find online. And I basically realised that there was a body of knowledge out there. It just wasn't very widely available as to how to fix these sorts of muscular imbalances or chronic injuries that just didn't recover with traditional rehab. That was about the time that I was thinking of leaving my corporate job, and I was fortunate when I decided to leave, they offered me the opportunity to go part-time. So when I was part-time, I got some work experience at a CrossFit gym down in Clapham, into CrossFit at the time, and did several qualifications from fitness instructor, PT level 3, also did some movement specialist courses for functional therapy and functional performance. And eventually that led to me doing a mentorship with Red Pill Coaching, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made. They just taught me exactly what I wanted to learn, and the knowledge that I realised before was available to very specific populations in sport and fitness. Since then, I've worked at a few different CrossFit gyms, obviously met you at WIT. I've recently become the head of education at Gymbox, where I train the other trainers in how to train their clients in a slightly better way. I've set up a corporate wellbeing company called Eat, Think, Move, where we deliver wellbeing services, generally on-site in offices, so anything that will improve the health and wellbeing of employees.
That must be really good, because then you get to impact people's journeys into fitness, whether, especially if they hadn't even thought about any type of fitness, and they're just, sitting behind a desk doing their thing, and it's just like, just that first step in must be so hard for so many. And obviously I know for a lot of my clients it's the same. It's just that step into the door of a gym. It's obviously quite intimidating. Exactly. So I guess having something like yourself, like when you're doing that wellness thing, it must really open that door up and make it not seem so intimidating.
Exactly right, yeah. And I think it's easy when you work in fitness and you're surrounded, like at WIT, the typical member there is very fit, like top 1% of recreational exercises out there, and it's easy to lose perspective of what normal is, but luckily we both had normal office jobs, I guess, before working in fitness, and you sort of see what's out there. Some people who don't have the first idea of what to do if they went into a gym, and they're very put off by it. So it's about meeting them where they're at and trying to give them all the tools that encourage them to just step up one level from wherever they are. And I think it's a nice way I can leverage my corporate experience, because I know what their lifestyle's like. I know what it's like to work in an office, long hours at the computer, lots of meetings, like rushed for time, too much coffee, not enough sleep, all that sort of stuff.
Still our life now.
Too
much coffee, not enough sleep.
That hasn't changed. But it's just quite a nice way to make use of my old experience and my new knowledge at the same time.
I guess your passion for fitness, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, a few things keep me busy. I work with Red Pill now as one of their coaches, so we're very fortunate to work with some really high-level CrossFit athletes, constantly learning and developing from those guys and all their experience. And still working with WIT, doing bits and bobs there, hoping to do a few seminars and workshops and spreads the good stuff.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. How about you, mate? What's your story?
Well, my story depends where you want to start. I've had, I'm currently married. I say current. I say currently married. That sounds terrible. Okay, I'm married. I've been with my other half now, Hannah, we went prom together. So, I was 16. Wow, it's been a while.
Nearly half your life.
Nearly half my life. So I've nearly been with her for longer than I've been without her. So it's really nice, because we've now got a 19-month-old daughter called Chloe, and life's pretty good at the moment. It's been, she has been a massive staple to help me save through my whole journey, and without her I definitely wouldn't be here now. So but that kind of links in nicely to when I say why she was kind of been a staple to me, because I started also in like the classic office job. Well, I say classic. I went to college a few times, tried to start A-levels in like psychology, maths, and something else I can't even remember. And I tried to do a BTEC in civil engineering. Dropped out of college there because I prefer just hanging out with Hannah and kind of just not working, always bunking. Then one of the things that actually kind of got me a little bit more focused was I was doing some work as like a bit of a summer job, and I saw an opportunity. Well, I had two opportunities at the time. I could work for BT, so they did an apprenticeship scheme, which I don't even know what I would end up being, but I guess some type of technician or some stuff. Or we'll go to the National Construction College, which is in Norfolk. Now, what that meant was I would be away from Hannah for, let's say that it was a 2-year course, but obviously I would come back and forth and stuff like that. But for me, it was, I think, I didn't have the excuse then to hang out.
Yeah.
And that was obviously one, especially when early days of a relationship, and that hanging out is like, it's key, right? So,
hanging out.
Yeah. But, so being away there, we made it work. Thankfully, I got an apprenticeship with Balfour Beatty, so a massive construction company in the civil side of stuff. So that's pretty much the ground down. And I'd done my qualification there, so I stuck with the 2 years, become then a civil engineer at that bit, obviously at the time, obviously quite junior. And I was doing my bits, and I just realised that I wanted to be a bit more in the office, because I was working with quantity surveyors at the time, so they're basically, imagine like the accountants of the construction world, the bit where you're dealing with the money, all the tenders and stuff like that. So once they've got the job, it's then basically managing it, like the financial side of things. And where I'm pretty good with numbers and maths, I was just like, it kind of aligned. I had a passion for how things are built, but then also the skill of, say, numbers. Because my mum, she was a maths teacher, she's now like a deputy head of a school. She's always pushed, I've always been decent-ish at maths. Yeah. So that's where that kind of went. And so I was chipping away, doing my thing, worked there for a little bit on quite a few different projects. So the East London line, which is now the London Overground, Heathrow T2B. That was actually an interesting one, because I live in East London, Heathrow's West London. So I had to cycle from there and back at times. So that's 26 miles roughly there, 26 miles back. And trying to fit gym in that time. I was trying to fit gym. Who's gym? trying to fit the gym in. And for me, unlike yourself, where you've been a real sporty kid, I am far from sporty. I am not coordinated. Nickname was Cliggle Gloggle. It's like, which is embarrassing, but that's what it was. Basically, I just don't have much coordination. Yeah. So it's been surprising how I've done relatively well in fitness and like the things that I've done. But so I was just training with friends constantly, so I'm meeting up and training with them, and I always really enjoyed like coaching them and kind of helping them. I'd read like Men's Health. Yeah. I'd read like the 6-pack in 6 weeks and be like, right, okay, we need to do this abs workout, eat like this and get the abs. 6 weeks later, still look the same with no better abs, and it is what it is. And I just didn't understand the intent back then. And I was eating chicken and broccoli, doing my thing, like, why am I not getting lean? And it was a really, that was, I think, kind of like my way that I kind of got into fitness, because it was that passion for helping like my friends when I train them, trying to like write up programs. And I then anyone that knows me knows that I've started so many like blogs, YouTube and this and that. So some of my YouTube videos, you can go right back to like, I don't know, like 2014, 15. So maybe a bit earlier than that, just like bits and bobs. And then through that, I then decided that I wanted to become a PT. Yeah. Now, obviously that means leaving a well-paid job, company car, the classic thing, the normal trajectory for like what a lot of people like, and having that security. And I remember at the time my parents weren't too happy about me making that decision. Hannah thankfully supported me. That's how it all now links back. Yeah. But she supported me through that bit. So rather than being as reckless as I have been over the years, I decided to do the course every Saturday. So I'd go to Richmond every Saturday, do the course, met some cool people there, which I still know now. Done my level 3, or done my level 2 and then level 3. That was about 4 to 6 months, I think, somewhere around, I can't remember now. And so I started PTing people outside, doing the classic boxing, doing this and that. That was my way into it. And I decided to leave my engineering job for a receptionist job at Virgin Active. Now, when I went for the interview, I was very clear. I said, look, I'm a qualified PT. Obviously thinking I was Mr. Big boy, like, I'm a qualified PT. I want to start PT, and they didn't have any positions at the time. That was at the Liverpool Street Broadgate one. And so they said, right, you can get into the front of house role, which was cool. Again, started to network with the members and get to know like the PTs there, the PT manager at the time. And that was kind of like the start of it. That was like, I guess, how my career now has all started from being a receptionist, which is quite cool because I've been exposed to so many different areas, I guess. And then from there is, I think, where I was Mr. TRX back then. A lot of like, I remember like weighted skipping rope. I was not like the guy I am now. But yeah, and so started. I had the opportunity to become a fitness coach. So like obviously, you had that bit there, but so I moved from front of house to fitness coach at the new club that was opening at the time, which was Aldersgate, and that was a really cool opportunity because I was surrounded by the first lot of master trainers in the business, and so I got to learn loads from them. And one of the trainers there, Adam, you know, I probably everything I know now all stemmed from him, and he's a power lifter, and my passion. He got me then into lifting heavy, and that was kind of like I watched back some of my old videos, you know, wearing 5-finger Vibrams, basketball shorts, and a stringer, and I'm just like, oh wow. But yeah, so he got me into strength, and that was kind of what fueled my passion for like lifting. And then I discovered I was doing bodybuilding alongside that, and I'm someone that really likes to work towards things. I like having a goal, and for me, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna work towards a fitness show. So it was Miami Pro at the time, and so that was being to do fitness model. So I did a 12-week cut, and I mean, I got leaner. I definitely got smaller as well. Didn't fully know what I was doing, and so yeah, got leaner, and stood on stage and just felt out of place. I just knew it wasn't for me, the whole fitness thing, for the fitness model thing, should I say. And so the following year, I decided to hire a coach, which I hired Jamie Alderton, and I competed in a natural bodybuilding show, which was really good. Went from like 104 kilos down to 85. So it was a big drop, and I look back at pictures now, and I come second, which was great. In my first show, I got invited to the finals, but it was then going to be, I'd do the finals and then go on a 2-week trip with my missus to America, which was then when I proposed to her. And I was just like, I can't be bothered to diet for another, like, I think it was like 3 to 4 months at the time. I was like, I'm not about that. I've been dieting for 6 months. I just don't want to diet for that much more. And yeah, that kind of, for me, having that bodybuilding show was the start of like my empathy towards clients, and because that's a lot of my experience, stuff like that, where you've got your qualifications. I've done courses over the years and stuff like that, but I'm more someone that's been very active in learning, like watching things on YouTube, talking to people, networking, and understanding from there rather than necessarily sitting in the classroom, because I don't learn well like that. I've tried remote courses, like I started the MNU nutrition certificate. I started it, but then I just had my daughter at the time, so it just wasn't working. And it's where I haven't had necessarily got official, say, qualifications. Sometimes it helped. It didn't necessarily make me feel good about it, because I was like, I could be more knowledgeable, like someone like yourself. You know, you've had so many like mentorships and stuff. But you know, my experience over the years, trying things myself, things that don't work, things that don't work, and trying to understand my clients and what's in their heads. Yeah. Because for me, fitness is all well and good. You know, how many reps and sets you're going to do, like how much you're going to eat, is all well and good. But the mindset side of things, which I know we're both passionate about, is like that's what makes and breaks people. And I think where we've both had that office background, we understand that lifestyle and the sacrifices it takes to have to either train in the morning, on your lunch break, or after work. So it means you're not seeing your family or friends or whatever. Yeah. And then also the struggles that it takes to reach these goals. So, you know, I've been through that. I've done a triathlon, which was interesting. Done it with my dad, which was really cool quite recently.
Absolute beast.
Yeah, who bloody fit. I've done the weightlifting comp unofficially, but that was pretty cool. And I said run the marathon, done a bikeathon, and all of that kind of then led to a CrossFit competition called Inferno Pairs, which I'd done with Tom Atkinson at the time. So when I mentioned at the start, like about names, so Flat White Fitness. So anyone that remember that was my that was another thing that I had that come to mind, being Flat White Fitness. And me and him used to go and train at CrossFit Shapesmiths, and then we left there to go to Gymbox. Now at the time we then went and done the Inferno Pairs competition, and on the second day, one of the first event of the day was a max deadlift, and I knew I was okay at deadlifts. But at the time, I didn't have any idea. And for me, that was such a cool environment, because it was like a elimination round, so in your pairs. So you keep lifting, and then basically whoever was left, it was me and someone else that was left at the end. And that's actually where I met Josh Alshama. Oh, yeah. So he was there. So his pair, he was in a pair with Kevin. And so me and Kevin were left, and it was either 275 or 280, which was in the final lift of the day. But the environment, Kevin lifted it first. Then I knew I had to lift it. And all the crowds are around us, and it was such good energy. And yeah, but for me, that then led Sam Norman and Gus, who opened WIT, to know me. And then they'd see me at Gymbox, and it all kind of linked, intertwined. And that's then what kind of then obviously then led me to join the team at WIT, where I then met you. And yeah, from there it's just been constantly trying to push people's strength foundations, get people stronger in like that side of things. Because we started my own strength club there, which is cool. And yeah, so it's been really good. So all of that, we've obviously been, we've known each other now for, it's been just over 2 years, and I guess that's now why I'm here. You know, we're chatting to you in front of a camera, being awkward. So yeah.
Yeah, whether in front of a camera or not is always just a bit awkward. But I guess, the next thing we wanted to talk about today was just like, why did we start the podcast? And I think it's come from every time we'd coach together, we'd meet up and hang out, we'd always have some good like conversations going a bit deeper into industry trends.
Normally when you're about to start training, I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we just start chatting away.
Just gonna do this. Oh, never mind. So just like interesting takes on technique pointers, like how things are traditionally coached versus what's actually biomechanically more efficient, like things that common misconceptions that people have about training, things that people often get wrong. Gadgets, like we both reasonably into.
Watch,
exactly. You got the Garmin. So we always like to talk about those sorts of things, and we just thought that
social media. We'd always chat about social media and like our views. If anyone follows us on social media, at
ashgrossman.coach,
at robsdospt, always plugging. So I guess on social we'd always be chatting about like, there's the influence out there and stuff like that, and how powerful it can be, and how it's such a good platform to have, I guess. And if we had the type of fluent that some people have to get our message out, that'd be really, really good.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the idea behind the podcast is basically we both consume podcasts as like one of our preferred media sources, just because if you're listening to a podcast, you're generally in the frame of mind to take on more information. You give the creators a little bit more time and concentration.
It's also why I watch them.
Exactly,
just so I'm not really doing anything else. I try not to, so you're focused on that. That's like a problem with like IGTV. I think it's great how you can put good long form content on there, but when you're scrolling, it's really hard to get in the right frame of mind. Whereas when a podcast, as you said, you're sitting in, you're like, right, I'm ready to listen and learn.
Exactly. You're not thinking about the next podcast. You're thinking about the one you're on. Whereas when you're scrolling, you've seen half of a video below, and you're like, oh, am I going to stick with this?
I mean, it's great, and that's why we definitely want to obviously get some stuff out there like that. But we want to then make sure obviously our long form content having like this is like our real true where the value is.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the stuff we want to talk about, like we said before, sort of common misconceptions in fitness, maybe some controversial topics. We'd ideally like to get some interesting guests to demonstrate their expertise in whatever area they specialise in, and just general fitness chit chat, and hopefully some things you might not already know, or just useful takes on what you already do yourself. What else have we got to talk about? Like, lunge and lift.
Oh yeah.
Why are we called lunge and lift?
The main thing, lunge and lift. Well, I think that for anyone that knows us personally, especially for the people at WIT or in our own PT worlds, or any within the fitness side, if you could probably associate one word or one thing to do with fitness with both of us, you got Mr. Silly Lunges here, and you got the person that just likes to lift. Even though I like to do a bit of conditioning here and there, generally I like to just lift stuff up and down, simple stuff. So I guess that's lunge and lift. So that kind of is a thing of who we are. That's obviously Ash and Rob. But at the same time, lunge and lift, you lunge before you work out to get yourself primed, and then you lift, and there's multiple ways, and just thought it was kind of a cool name, really.
That's it. Yeah. So hope that was useful, guys. Hope you got to know us a bit better. There'll be more podcasts coming.
Hopefully weekly. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And
we're committing.
That's it. We look forward to sharing more stuff with you in future, guys. Thanks for your time.
See you next time.